Hello, everybody, and welcome. Today, I have a special guest from far away in Scotland. And Katja is one of those people that you meet and you're like, oh, I know that type of person. They remind me of me. Katja is so alive and passionate and full of just sparkle and humor and laughter and just such a ball of light. But the thing that really connected me with Katja is that I feel like a lot of everything that Katja's ever shared, I relate to and resonates with my own story. And I'm excited, Katja, that you're here to share with us a little bit about your story and where you've been, where you've gone, and where you are now.
First of all, thanks for having me, and I can just give it back. I feel the same about you, all the authentic energy, coming through and much laughter. I remember so many moments where we thought, oh yeah, that's me, oh yeah, likewise. So that's really great. Yeah, my name is Katja Frerichs, and I'm originally from Germany. And as Mussi said, at the moment I'm residing in Scotland. Yeah, and I have quite a life journey, I would say. Um, yeah, I'm not so sure. I thought, oh, what might be interesting for parents or what might not. And I can only say, oh, I've struggled so much. People, it's human, it's normal to struggle. When you have this life, this new life in your life, everything suddenly becomes out of order, upside down. This is what it felt like to me. And it took me so long to realize what was going on. Now, I've just recently finished my coaching training. I'm a therapeutic coach now, and I got to know Mussi over another approach. However, it really started when my first child was born that I became interested in parenting. And I tried to read a lot about that, even during pregnancy. Okay, what's the best for my child? And how can I do that? And all that. So what we really did after birth, it was quite mental, baby massage, baby swimming. And then there were other approaches, which was called PKIP or something, where you had your toddlers naked and they had all those experiences. Then we did parenting programs, Triple P and another German one. But they didn't really quite land with me. And it was a lot about consequences. Most of you might remember the Super Nanny. And I found that the parenting programs, they were quite like that. And you were told, okay, you have to be consequent with that and with that. But nobody really told us how to love our children. And that was missing. Additionally, I have my own journey and my own parenting, as we all have. So it's through the generations. We bring certain styles. And I thought, oh, I never want to be like my mom or my dad with this or with that. Yeah. You know what? What happens? It's exactly you're doing the same mistakes very often. And sometimes it's very subtle and sometimes it's not. And then you realize and you're starting to beat yourself up, don't you? It's like the inner critic voice, we have those parts in us, the inner critic and our inner children, and they show up more and more, and you don't get it and you don't get it, still don't get it. Maybe you even get ill and you beat yourself up even more, oh, I cannot take care of my children. However, yeah, this is very normal. And I just want to tell everybody that there is always hope as long as we try to grow. This is what I really want to say to everybody today. Don't give up. Keep going. Keep growing, because what really made the difference for me, and that only happened over the last few years, my children are young adults now. So my oldest son is 22, and actually he's an ADHD child. And as soon as he was born, it was really interesting. Yeah. And then I got a second son, and he is almost 19. He will be 19 next week. And he's highly able. What a mix already. And 1 year after our younger son was born, we got a permanent foster child into our family. And she's only 2 months younger than our younger son. A very interesting mix because she brought with her developmental trauma. So that made me become interested in trauma too. And yeah, over the last 10 plus, maybe 20 years, I read so much about trauma, and I read so much about ADHD and capabilities and everything. And quite often I found myself in some of those things, of those diagnoses. Um, our daughter was recently diagnosed with autism. Even there, there are so many things. Then last year I discovered, oh, actually I'm gender fluid. Oh, and then somebody made me aware, oh, you might be neurodivergent. And I was like, what? What is that? So all those new things coming up. Yeah. However, especially the approach I got to know Mussi with, like the nurtured heart approach. You have probably heard about the nurtured heart approach in this podcast more than once. That was interesting. And I had my first training in 2016, I think, or my basic training. And then I became an advanced trainer in 2020, I think. Yes, and I thought, that's it. My children, they were already teenagers, and that was the approach, and I need that, and and I was trying to implement that at home, and I was really fighting. I thought, oh, that's really great. And what I really like about the nurtured heart approach is that it builds emotional vocabulary. You can find your own values much easier. And what it also does is really that you start listening inside. So that's something I've never learned. I've never been self-aware. And in the end, that became a struggle, even for the nurtured heart approach, because in times of where I just really wanted to take away my energy, I wasn't able, because I wasn't aware of what's going on. And that took another while. When I started my therapeutic coaching training in 2021, imagine, I'm 52 now, so don't lose hope again. I really only started to develop self-awareness, because when you want to regulate your children, we speak about co-regulation there, you have to regulate yourself first. And I wasn't able to do that because I wasn't self-aware. Why? Because I had developmental issues in my own childhood. I was parented in a certain way, which was, I wouldn't say emotionally cold. However, like, the emotional availability wasn't great. And my vocabulary emotionally was like, okay. By practicing the nurtured heart approach, certain techniques, for example, and meeting frequently with other trainers, I finally found out about myself, about my personality, and what makes me me. And now I know what kind of person I am, which is fantastic. However, still, like, the self-awareness was like, oh, come on, really? Do we really or do I really need to keep going, and discover myself? And it was a nuisance sometimes, even in therapy sessions I had, like, I wanted to give up sometimes. Nevertheless, I would never do that, because I just want to be a better mom for my children, and I want to be a better person. And what I really want is my children to become decent humans. That's something I would really love for them, that they will be able to connect in an empathic and compassionate way with any fellow human, basically, and it's not about pity or sympathy. It's about empathy. It's about compassion. It's about love. It's about coming from a heartfelt place, and not only using their mindful intelligence, like coming from the head, but we also have intelligence in our hearts, and we have intelligence in our guts. So this is something I would really like them to combine and, radiate it out into the world. And to do that, it is so necessary to develop ourselves, and turn inwards. I don't know what it was like for you, Mussi, but I'm pretty sure from everything I know about you that you had those moments where you were just sitting by yourself and getting kind of epiphanies, really, like, oh, that's going on. Oh, this is, oh, my parents did this, or my parents did that. And this is how I felt. So what came up, probably, and correct me if I'm wrong, is you had sensations and feelings in your body coming up, and you try to make sense of them. And only by working through that, you were becoming a better mom. Is this correct? Am I right with that? Yeah.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. Cool. So yeah, returning to that, really inner growth. I think that's so important. And what I like, there are approaches out there, like the internal family systems, for example, is that we all have those parts in us. So in ourselves, we are really good inside. So we all have a really good core. And this is what I like about those approaches. It's also Dr. Becky Kennedy, Dr. Becky, she's an advocate really for seeing everybody as being good inside, and the internal family system is also an approach who promotes that, or which promotes it, sorry. That's by Richard or Dick Schwartz. Yeah, and I picked up on that, and it really helped me to understand that I'm not a bad person. I am a good parent, whatever I've done, but I always did the thing I could do at that moment. And I never gave up wanting to grow. Another book, another course. I always tried to develop my empathy, my compassion, my unconditional love, and my reconnecting on a heart level. I think those are the most important aspects in parenting that have changed so much. I'm in no way a perfect parent. However, I have so many more good moments with my children now. I can connect in a different way. I'm not getting as loud anymore. I still have a loud voice. I know that. But I was really raging. I was so frustrated with my children. And we even had other foster children. And I was really ramped up, so angry at points and getting really loud. I was a yeller. And no, now I'm just becoming aware more and more. And it's like, oh, my voice is getting louder. Ah, hold on a second. Okay, what's going on? Sensing inside. This is my core. My core is good. There's stability. I went on a journey to discover this core. And actually, for me, a symbol came up, and this is what I have here. So you might wonder, that's a lighthouse, actually. I have an inner lighthouse, and it has all the qualities, that are important for me. And I can even fetch all the qualities I need in some moments, as long as I manage to take a little pause and respond instead of react. And I think this is what many, many parents really do. They just react. They have all those expectations coming from the outside world, all those expectations which were put on them by their own parents, and then on top of that, they're beating themselves up because they want to parent in a certain way. Rubbish. Validate your children. Be with them. Feel with them. And I think that's the most important topic for me, really, to feel and to validate and to come from this heartfelt place. And you can use different approaches for that. Not, there's not the one approach, one for all. That's not happening. You know your children best, and you know your inner child best. So what you do to your inner child, it's basically role modeling towards your own children. So whenever you are compassionate with your inner child, how would you treat that? How would you sit with a friend who is really in trouble? Imagine that, you have your friend sitting next to you or opposite you. What do you say to them? Oh, yeah, that was really crap, you could have cooked a better meal. No, you wouldn't say that, okay? You would say, oh, I know you had a really hard time. Yeah. And I can feel that. And sometimes we all have those hard times. It doesn't matter. And I really appreciate the effort you put into preparing a meal for both of us. And you can appreciate what you can see in this moment, what you can hear in this moment. Yeah. Or what you can feel. and just relate on this level, on a totally different level. It's not only about the words. You know, research has shown that words only make up 7% of our communication. That's really interesting. So most of our communication is body language. So how do we behave, for example, when you have a difficult child, or let's say a difficult partner? Yeah, what do you do in those moments that are really difficult? Be just with them, with your heart. Feel what's going on. And I can guarantee you, the more often you practice that, the more often you will be surprised that you can actually feel what your opposite is feeling. And then connect. Just wait and respond. And not, oh, yeah, I know. Yeah, you just blame me. I haven't done anything. Yeah, I have actually. Don't react like that. Ask, you know. Oh, I can really sense, today was a hard day. Do you want to tell me about that? That could be a choice. Maybe it's not always that easy. And I don't know what you bring. You might bring something really, really difficult in life, you know. And whatever is happening in your relationships depends on how you relate to yourself, how you bring yourself into the world.
I am so glad you just said everything you said. I've been enjoying every minute. I just when you speak, you touch like such a deep part of my soul, because it's so, yes, 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 I so relate. And I just see your lighthouse. You said lighthouse, and the crazy thing is when you were describing yourself before, I was like seeing your fire and seeing your light and how big you are and how bright you are, and just the time spent not knowing that, like all those years that big, big, beautiful, glorious Katja was squished in this like cold, hard world, just like getting through and getting through and getting through. And like,
Mm-hmm.
what? Like, thank God you are shining and here. And thank God that you took the signals that you wanted more and didn't have enough from the approaches that you did and from the work you did, and there was still more, and you didn't stop and you didn't give up, to like get to a place where like this light filled Katya can show up in the world. You're so full of love. And you're using words like empathy and unconditional love. Like, this is not about parenting. This is your being. Like, you are in the world like this. And it's so, it touches me. I relate. I relate. I will say that everything you're saying is absolutely my experience. I definitely brought unresolved things into my parenting and didn't understand why, with all of my best intentions and all of my incredible wisdoms and experiences, being a early childhood educator and having tons of experience with kids and success with kids, why I couldn't parent the way that I wanted to, and how I watched myself check off the list of things I swore not to do. Like, oh, there we go. We just broke that one. Okay, now we broke that one. Okay, like I'm a monster. And it was scary watching myself and that rage. Oh my goodness, I relate. And I am loud. The thing is that at that time, my loudness was so unappreciated by myself. It was such a negative thing about myself that it only erupted in negativity. My
Yeah.
loudness only showed up by accident because I couldn't control it anymore. And at that point, there was so much shame involved and so much frustration involved that it was just rage. And through this process you're talking about, which I relate to so much, finding, oh, wow, what? Like, I didn't know. Like, I'm trying to parent like this, but apparently I can't. Like, why can't I? What's going on? And starting to look inwards and hear some answers of like, oh, there's a little girl in there who's like locked in her room who wants to come out, who's still there from however old she was, and really listening and being and finding the compassion and the love and the forgiveness for the things I loathed about myself and the things I loathed about my past and really who I am. And that shift of actually realizing that I'm amazing, and all those parts of me that I loathed, they're who I am. And I definitely have so much to offer. Like, what? Like, it's a sin that I hated those. Like, stop, like just standing up to the bullies in my head and standing up to the bullies holding me back from like being the full me
Yeah.
and fully like finding my light and standing in it. It wasn't a shift that happened of like, okay, today I'm going to set an intention. I'm not going to yell. And then my kids came home and I didn't yell. It wasn't related. It seemed unrelated. But as I embraced myself and loved myself and, and more fed myself and turned inwards when I was frustrated and turned inwards when I was hitting a wall and took care of this,
Mm.
I didn't need to like
Yeah.
try so hard. It just flows naturally.
Yeah.
I'm just more loving. I am more loving. I'm not as triggered. It's like I saw in my kids things that to me inside of me weren't okay for me. And so they triggered that in me and it was like my kid
Yeah.
needs to not be that way. My kid needs to not bring that up in me. My kid needs to not show me that side of life. Like it needs to not exist and I need to shut it down. And when I stopped needing to shut it down inside of me, then there was permission for my kid too. I mean, it's a work in progress. It's a work in progress, but the shift starts like in one moment. Maybe not in one moment, but like the awareness and the understanding of like, oh, the work is to go inward. The work is
Yeah.
to look to hold this and the rest will follow. That is a life-changing
Yeah.
shift that no matter how many hard days I have and bad moments I have, my life is forever better and forever different because of this perspective and gift to know that like my real work is here.
And I'm so happy for you that you found this way, and how good is it that we have our children because they bring it out. They bring the chance, to look at ourselves and to look at our issues. So that's perfect, isn't it? So they are our teachers in the end. So we only need to pick this up and turn inwards and ask ourselves, okay, what is it actually that they are doing with me? What yeah, what is it? Because they are not doing it. They are not behaving in a way they want to behave, so only that we are getting mad. No, they are just behaving that, and then they're triggering something that is there anyway. It's one part of us. It's the mad part, or it's the frustrated part, it's the sad part, it's the excluded part. There can be so many parts, and they are kind of playing together. But at some point, they kept us alive. They just were a strategy towards something that kept us alive. And of course, who wouldn't use a strategy that keeps them alive? Okay, it would be insane. So, but two other things just came to my mind because you were speaking so nicely about the lighthouse again. And another thing that I just recently discovered, it's not long ago, maybe 2, 3 months ago or something, it was about, oh, how am I actually living my life? And I was living my life moment by moment, by moment, by moment, by moment, by moment, by moment, never stopping. What did this do? My inner critic had every chance to pick apart, to rip apart all those tiny little moments. Yeah. Oh, yeah, this went wrong. This went wrong. This is negative. Ba, 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 ba. Constant chatter by this negative inner critic, really. So, and as soon as I was able to step back and zone out for a moment, the present moment, by the way, just zone out, I finally was able to change my perspective and see everything that happened before that moment and that happened after the moment. I was like, that's my inner coach. I never knew I had an inner coach. How easy is that? Just stepping back, looking at the bigger picture. And those are the moments, really, also when we think about our children. How often are we really in this moment? That's happening. So when we step back, we are finally able to see the good in every human being. And then I recently had my last training week, really, for my coaching. And it was an exercise where we were just sitting opposite a partner and looking at them. We weren't supposed to smile or do anything, really not speak, not just observe, just looking into their eyes. And you know what? There's so much inner beauty in every one of every single one person, really. Like it's, oh my God, I thought, oh, I've never really realized that. And even in me, there's a newfound beauty. And that's so great. And then just another thing I really would like to say is don't forget our playfulness. Yeah. We need to be playful with ourselves and with our inner children. This is something we many people, I think they just forgot on the way. This is just somehow lost, but we can always take the time to be playful, not only with our children, but with ourselves. I just had a situation today with my almost 19-year-old girlie, and I said, oh, actually, at the podcast, I have my soft toy sheep. And I just like, oh, and by the end, I could do this. And she was giggling, and I was giggling. It was so much fun, and there was so much energy in that. And this is all positive energy. So just don't always take it with a pinch of salt, but better with a spoon of sugar. We look at everything and make a game out of it. Sometimes it's fine, and you don't need to be perfect. You had a rough day, fine, okay, just play something, whatever. I remember all those moments where I was just sitting in a corner, crying. So like, oh, come on, leave me alone. Okay, would have had a better option in this moment. So what would that have been like when I would just come out of it, in a playful way. Maybe take some figurines or something, and just show them, oh, actually, this is me, and look at me, I'm really, really sad now or something. Okay. Even when that's not an
Absolutely.
option. Even when it's not an option, it doesn't matter, we all make mistakes every now and then. I think that's not important. It's really when you live in the present moment, which is advocated for. And I think that's perfect because, we need to live in the present moment. We cannot worry about the future, or just look back and say, oh, I've done so much wrong. Yeah, you can't change it. It's fine. Okay, you can go back and change your thinking and your feeling about moments that happen. That's really good because we don't want to live with all the burden. However, when you live in the present moment more and more and let the world come to you instead of focusing and forcing your way through life, it's so much easier, and you can finally start to enjoy the moment. Yeah. For example, so many people, especially here, is like they talk about the weather, and oh yeah, it's raining again. Yeah, so what? Just decide you like the rain. It works, I can tell you. I did this at some point because I was so fed up everybody talking about this crappy weather. No, actually, it's nice. We have the rain. It's water. It's bringing us life. And have you ever felt the rain in your face? Really felt it, or on your hands or something? Yeah, how tickly that is. What are the sensations? Just go inwards. What Mussi said earlier. Turn inwards. And as long as you discover yourself and be authentically with your feelings, your sensations, and present them, you are a really good role model to everybody around you. And of course, it's not always positive. Life has obstacles. This is what I think. Yes, my life has many obstacles. So what? Okay, they will be gone at some point. Just
Katja, I could listen to you forever. We are out of time here. I just want to just sit here and chat and chat and chat. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your experience and your authenticity and your story and your giggles and your playfulness. And parents, listen to this a few times. There's so much wisdom here. Katja, if anybody wants to reach out to you and connect with you, how can they do that?
yes. I have a website which is called nurturingbubble.co.uk, and there's all the information in it. If you want to reach out, of course, I'm a therapeutic coach. I can also share some nurtured heart approach wisdom. And I love to connect with people anyway. So yeah, would be great to see one or two of you. So and thanks for
Amazing.
having me again, Mussi. It was
You're
really great.
welcome.
I love the energy. So
Ah,
it was a pleasure.
it's so fun. I'm going to put your website in the show notes. So if you didn't catch it, just
Perfect.
look below and you'll see Katja's website there. Katja, thank you so much and see you all next time.